off the pad and it should be everybody in the world. Morning crew, and welcome back to the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel. Now for those of you that are observant and watched lots of the other videos, you'll see now that all the lighting and the steel beamwork is now complete and looks pretty damn cool, I think, and very purposeful. It's opened up the whole workshop space. Now it's sort of on to thinking about how the workshop, works as regards ergonomics. That's the word, isn't it? And with a small workshop like this, and I bring some pretty big vehicles in here, ROVs, boat trailers, that kind of stuff, I need to absolutely maximize the floor space available. And there's going to be a video maybe later on today about some ideas that I've got to do with that. But first of all, today's job is to make the tyre machine, which is currently hanging off the engine hoist, I want to make it mobile, because at the moment it sticks in that corner there right by the door. It impedes into the entrance a little bit of the workshop, which makes it a bit more difficult to get ROVs in, or cars for that matter. And whenever I want to use it, I've got to drag it out, and it's bloody heavy, to be honest. I put it on the scales this morning and it's about 190 kgs. Plus it doesn't do the machine any good to be dragged across the concrete and pushed back every time either, and it's not good on my back. I'm getting older and I need to future-proof this workshop. 20 years ago I'd have dragged it out no bother at all. Now 190 kgs, it's quite a bit of weight, isn't it? So I was looking around the workshop, and I have planned to do this job for some time, but the roof beam steel work took precedent. And to be honest, I don't do too many tyres, so I wasn't using the machine every single day, so it wasn't really a problem. But I was down at Teng Tools ISL Industrial up in Auckland, East Tamaki, a few months ago now, and was talking to Brandon, the sales manager there, and he said, "Hey Andy, I've got a box of casters here. Would you like them? Would they be of any use to you in your workshop?" And of course, I'm always trying to pick up stuff for free. So I said, yes, of course I'll make use of those. And he gave me, in the box, were 4. Unfortunately, they're all the same. Fingers crossed they are. He gave me 4 of these casters. Now, of course, they're the swivelly type, which is one I need, because then it's a lot easier to move around. But the only downside is none of them are the lock type casters, where you can lock the wheel and clamp the wheel as like a brake. Now obviously with a tyre machine you do end up pulling quite a bit on the tyre lever to get the tyre bead over the heel of the tool. So there's a bit of pulling and shoving and stuff on tyre machines, so that's usually why you have them bolted down to the floor. But for me, I just can't commit that space to be permanent, because it would sit out in the workshop as well, and it's only about 8.5 meters by 6 meters is this workshop, so I've got to be careful on my space. But I think given the weight of the machine, hopefully anyway, and these being rubber wheels, it should not move too easily. If it does, for now I'll just have to chock a couple of wheels or some bits of wood when I'm using the machine, or at a later date just buy a couple of casters the same dimensions that have got the locks on. So I'm not too concerned. These were free, got to make use of them. And I did have some steel channel left over from doing the roof beams, and this is a bit of kind of cut off. This is the stuff that I'm going to use. It's about 75 millimeters across here, and I think that's about 40 mil from memory. And it's quite thick. It's about 4 mil here on this part and about 6 mil on this part approximately. So the first thing we need to do, oh, and I've got some gas left over because I can't buy anything at the moment. We're in lockdown here in New Zealand, so I've got to make this using what I've got here already in the workshop, materials and equipment. So the first thing we need to do is head over to the tyre machine while it's up in the air and measure the footprint, measure what size this frame needs to be. Here we go. Now the machine, it's a GS Boxer, by the way, for anyone that's interested. It does have the mounting holes here for the bolts that go into the concrete. So obviously we're going to be utilising those to bolt this to the frame. Now it's pretty solid under there. There's a lip on this side here, so we need to make sure that we sit it on that lip on the frame. So the frame needs to come out a little bit to beyond here. I also, just other than make a basic frame, need to put a foot or a platform that sticks out here so that your tyres are still the same height in respect to the machine for breaking the bead. If the wheel or the tyre was down on the concrete ground, by the time we've got the thickness of the frame and the height of the wheels, we'd be way out on the positioning of the bead breaker. But that's a later thing. We'll worry about that later on. So, oh, my retractable tape measure's broken. I can't buy a new one. So I'm using my steel rule for this. So we'll take a measurement of the actual width of the platform, and then we'll add a bit for the bolts and stuff and extra for the frame. So that's 414 millimeters. Right, that's that side. Oh, look at this. What about the other side? Let's have a look. So remember that 414. Hopefully it's not going to fall down. It shouldn't do. It's on a good strong chain. And that one is 714. So 414 and 714. Perfect. Right, we've got our CAD system here, which is our cardboard aided design. And the foot, or the base of the machine then, we just measured to be, very rudimentary drawing here. Now that was 414 millimeters in there, look, and 714 millimeters in the long plane. There we go, look. Now the holes, there's certainly two, one on each side, so they're somewhere around about there, just to give us a rough idea. Now this is the material we're going to use, so I'm going to offer this up to the machine and see how much we need to offset this, because don't forget the bolts have to clear this upright here, look. So if we made this exactly in line with this on this dimension, then of course the bolts would foul. So we need to offer this up, take a rough measurement, and then we can expand that frame to be a little bit bigger so the bolts clear and we can get in there. Easy. Let's go and take a measurement. So the material is going to sit, the frame will sit something like that. If we did it here, like I said on the drawing, then of course the bolt, once we drilled the hole, it's going to foul that web. So we need to offset it a bit. But I want that bolt to be pretty much central to this bit. So I would suggest somewhere around about there. So if we just measure that, it's about 10 millimeters, isn't it? So we need to make it 10 millimeters larger in both dimensions. Sure, we could make it, flush at this end, but I think it actually be quite prudent to make it 10 mil all the way around. Right, back to the drawing. Okay, so the frame we need to make needs to be 10 millimeters in all directions, on all sides. So, just so you can see what's going on, help visualize it for those people that don't do too much fabrication. We've got 414 here, we've got an additional 10 here, and an additional 10 here. So that's going to be 434 as regards that length. Oh, my mic's not happy. Right, and then along here, and I'm sure most of you have already worked this out, again another 20, so that's going to be 734 millimeters. Right, before we can cut the lengths, we need to work out how we're going to do the joint in the corners, because that's going to affect the lengths, isn't it? We could actually either do, there's two options really. We could do a joint where one piece is like that and the other piece joins there and we have a weld like that, or we could do a joint with a 45 on it, and of course we've got the weld down there and down that corner. If we do it that way, we don't have to blank up the corner, do we? Here we go, look, we've got two bits of scrap. So the plan is we can either do a joint like that, in which case this would be the long side, and this length would be the 734. But this length, which is this piece here, would be 434 minus two of these widths here, look, which is about 40 mil. In fact, we can measure it. Oh, there you are, look. Yeah, bang on 40 millimeters. But we end up, as you can see, with a joint like that, which is pretty untidy, isn't it? If, however, we go for this option and we put a 45 on there and a 45 on there, then basically that join down there, they will touch, and we'll get a nice weld line down there and down there and down there, well, actually along there, and then we won't have to blank off the end, and I think it'll be a lot stronger as well because there's more surface area, more length of weld doing that. So makes it simpler to cut because the lengths are all exactly what this is, and easier to weld up, less fabrication, and it looks tidier. So I'll do that. So our cutting list is going to be 2 times 734 and 2 times 434. Brilliant. Well, since we've got to put a 45 on it, I could do that in the power hacksaw. Make my life a bit easier. But saying that, we do run the risk of the blade coming off track because it's such a tiny cut. So maybe I'll use a slip disc. In fact, I will. I'll mark them up and I'll use a slip disc. Right, I've changed my mind. We are going to use the infamous $100 power hacksaw. Yes, it was a bargain off Trade Me that I bought. Jeez, 8-9 years ago. Fair enough, it was a 3-phase. I had to buy a single-phase motor for it. Another couple $100. That's the yellow motor down there in the bottom. But other than that, it's been working fantastic ever since we got it. So might as well use it and save some slit discs. Right, let's get that steel marked up. Okay, so we're going to go for the mitered corners like that. So this is the outside of the frame, dead simple frame. We need 2 at 734. Jeez, we'll get 2 out of this. Right. Come back. All is forgiven. Right, 7, 3, 4. Okay, we'll just mark that off. Square for now. There we go. Now, basically it's going to sit like that. So we need to do a cut on the power hacksaw in line with that. There. I'll just mark it with this because I'm pretty blind, unfortunately. Just so I can see it. So we're going to have a cut across there, and then we're going to have another one across here as well for the start of the next piece. So I'm just trying to keep out the camera for you. There we go. Fantastic. So that will be scrap. Okay, so that's the 2 long bits done. So I'll mark the other ones up just the same, and then we'll get them cut off. Normally this power hacksaw is set up for cutting steel at 90 degrees, not 45. So just going to back that off, the pinch bolt, and that one. Now, if I remember correctly, just pull that one pin out, and it should pivot. He says, there we are, look, right. So, we'll accurately, best we can, set that up. There we go, that's 45. Make it parallel to that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Right, let's get that pinch bolt tightened up. That's the critical one. There we go. And now, the main bolt. Fantastic. Right, time to cut something. What a piece of kit. Right, stay there. Drop this down. You're going to go down a bit now. Oh, that was pretty good to me. Okay, let's see what happens. It's going to get really vibrating now. Okay, so the next part is obviously we're going to weld this together, and as you can see here, there's it's pretty much a butt joint at the moment, so we need to basically grind away at about a 45-degree angle each of these edges, so that when we weld it in, the weld will it'll penetrate, and then if we decide, which we will actually have to do on the top side, well actually on both sides, because the wheels are going to be on the other side, there'll be a plate down there, and the top side where the machine sits, this will need to be flat. Now obviously I can weld it on the inside as well for additional strength, because this is quite a heavy unit. But I'll definitely grind out on the outsides, top and bottom, on all joints, and then we'll get it all jigged up, clamped, and then we'll tack weld it all, double check it, and then weld it up fully. And then we can start thinking about how on earth we're going to mount the wheels. If this was the underside, are they going to go there? Are they going to go there? If they're going to go here, it's going to need a plate to support the wheel in the corners. So we've got that to do as well. Get this corner square first. Which it really isn't at the moment. Okay, that is square. That's pretty much, well, not quite actually. There we go. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Good. Pretty sure we know this one's good, don't we? Yeah. Yeah, it works. And that's fine as well. Excellent. Right, well, the up session. Fantastic. Right, the frame is all welded up. Bit of cleanup still to do, but so I'll do that first, and then we can work out how we're going to mount these wheels. And don't forget, each wheel has got to carry basically about 50 kilograms or thereabouts. That's assuming it's evenly weighted. Don't forget, it's got the big pillar at the back, so maybe there's more weight at the back of the machine. I don't know. Probably is. Right, let me go and clean this frame up. Oh, apologies that it went a bit out of shot when I was doing the welding. I try and keep my camera away at a reasonable distance from the actual sparks, because if you get a spark on the lens, screw it, aren't you? Oh, somebody's out on the bike. It's very close. Guess that motorcycle. Okay, bit of grinding to do. Woohoo! We're cooking on gas this afternoon, aren't we? Now we need to work out where or how we're going to fit these wheels onto the frame. Here we go. Okay, so I could weld a whole fresh plate on there and then mount the wheel to the plate. However, I'm trying to keep this thing as low as possible, and I think, to be honest, we can just fill in this bit with a triangle, a gusset we could call that, couldn't we? Fill that in, and then that way we can just weld it down here, grind it flat, weld it on the other side, and then line everything up, drill the holes, bolt the wheels on. Easy. Right, we're going to find some plate that's going to fit in there that's probably around about 5mm thick. Fantastic. Okay, you can see here I've cleaned up, and I've also beveled around where we're going to be welding, because again this needs to be ground flat, doesn't it? Because the wheel is going to sit flat on top of here. So I'm going to weld down here and down here and then grind it back till it's flat, but I will also put a weld on the other side as well. Right, so it's going to move it to the edge of the bench and get this other clamp put in. I'll have to give you a turn. There you go, look. Join me on the journey. Right, I'll get that welded up now. Ta-da! Look at that. Okay, bit of splatter, I know. That came out pretty well. It's such a shame that I have to grind these welds away. Lots of splatter. And no, I can't be asked to use anti-splatter spray. It's just as easy just to grind it off with a flat disc, to be perfectly honest. That's not bad, is it? I'll do the trick. Oh, right, well, bit of cleaning up to do with the old flat disc. And these are really good. You should get yourself some flat discs. It's so much easier. A bit of cleaning up, and then we'll get those wheels clamped on and the holes drilled and get them basically put into place for a test fit. I reckon that came up pretty well, don't you? Good job. Oh, it's grinding dust everywhere. That new Makita, not a sponsor by the way, it's a brushless grinder. It does incredibly well. It's a marked improvement. Even though the old one was pretty good, it's a marked improvement. Really, really happy with that one. Right, let's take a look at these wheels. See how they're going to fit on. Whew, it's getting late now for today. Right, one wheel. Now I reckon don't go too close to the edge there. Bit of a compromise. It's enough room for the bolts, the nuts on the inside. So probably about 10 mil I reckon from the edge. Yeah, look at that, bang on 10 mil. That works. So what we'll do, I'll mark that up. And, oh, I know what we'll do. Just to get the comments going. Right, 10 millimeters we said, didn't we? Oh, look at that. Right, I'm going to get shot in the comments now. I love doing this. Gives us our 10 mil. And, don't move. And the same down there. So all we need to do now, plunk that on there, line it up with the marks, and clamp it into place so I can mark where the holes are. There we go. Oh, a bit more yet. There we go. Brilliant. Right, I'll do that for all four, and we'll go and drill some holes. Now you could spend ages marking out exactly where all the holes need to be, but in all honesty, we don't need to do that. Humans are actually really good at finding the middle of stuff. So we're just going to do that. Super. Now, obviously, the mold is where we need to... Let's move that out of the way. What a donkey. Right. Cool. I'll do for one. Yes, they're all the same. I've checked. One advantage of doing this, like this, and not measuring it all out and marking it all up, is there's less margin for error. You're basically putting the mark where the hole needs to be. Whereas if you do it all by rulers and stuff, you make a mistake, you could end up drilling holes in the wrong place. So there is sometimes method to the madness, but also running out of time. Cool, yeah. Oh, I know what we need. Hang on. Try a bit of that, look. It's bloody good. Product placement, eh? Can't beat it. Now, the only disadvantage of putting it in the hole is you gotta make damn sure you're in the hole. Fantastic stuff. Right, we'll just start these. Stick some more on there. It's best to put it on the drill bit, I find, rather than actually on the workpiece. Then you can see where to land. Cool, yeah. One more to go. Done. Right. Only 3 more to do. Now these are a 6mm I use for a pilot. Can you see that? Hang on. There we go, look. These are a 6mm that I use for a pilot, and then we'll go up to an 8mm. I think 8mm bolts, 8.8 metrics, will be just fine, considering there's going to be 16 of them. And even that bench down there, which is really, really heavy, oh, out of focus, which is really, really heavy, has basically the same kind of setup. So we're just fine, I reckon. Man, you get so much glare off these lights now. Crazy. Right, I'll crack on. Ooh, we're nearly there. We are. Just test fitting the wheels at the moment. I'll use nylox at the end. At the moment, just normal nuts because they're a lot easier to take on and off. Right, last bolt. I'm probably way out of shot here. Apologies. Fantastic. So this is where we're at so far, and it's almost really the end of today. I've just used 2 bolts just to hold the wheels in where they need to go. There's still a little bit of welding to do on the inside. I want to weld up, fingers are in the way, weld up down there, and obviously along the tops here. Look at that. That won't affect any of these bolt holes, which is great. Yeah, you can see on that one there, look a bit better. Cool. Well, obviously it works. It's pretty free running. Very happy with that. Now, there is still something else we need to do. So, oh God, it's a bit heavy. But it needs to be heavy. So you can see here, like I said before, right at the start, on the side of the machine, we've got the bead breaker. So the wheel tyre goes in the side here, and normally it sits on the ground, and the radius of that bead breaker would, you know, it is adjustable, but it needs to be at a certain height to line up with the wheels. Now, of course, we've got the height of the castor and the 75mm of this section here. So that's probably about 120, 75, about 200mm in additional height on this Tyre machine. So the way to fix that is, oh, let's just pop you down here, look. There we go. Not going to work? It is going to work. Right. Let's just adjust it up a little bit. There we go. On the side of the machine here, on the side of the trolley, we're going to fit a bracket that comes out, goes along, and comes in with an aluminium, hopefully I've got some somewhere, some aluminium checker plate, which will sit on top. If I can't find any of that, I'll just put a big, golly, been a long day, piece of plywood or something, that'll just sit on top. And that's essentially going to mimic the ground and realign the wheel to the bead breaker. And it's got to stick out, I don't know, we'll have a measure up, but probably about 200mm off the side, and probably go back maybe 300mm. I'll work it out. Right, back to the bench. So, the little project to put the Tyre machine on a heavy duty trolley to give it some wheels and move it around the workshop is moving leaps and bounds. Looking pretty good. But camera batteries are nearly flat, I'm nearly flat, and of course it's time for a cider and a shower. So, go off and have your tea, and we'll resume this video in the morning. So when you see me again, I'll be all clean. It'll be a whole new day. Ta-da! Morning crew! Andy Mechanic is back, and it hasn't been a few seconds, it's actually been a couple of days. I had a lot of work to do for my day job. So, where are we? We've made the frame, a bit more welding to do on the inside parts of the joints and across the tops of these sort of gussets, these extra plates we put on there to mount that fourth bolt hole for the casters. They're only on with a couple of bolts at the moment, just to get a feel for how it's going to look. So I'll get all the welding finished on the inside, give them a bit of a clean up, and then we'll mark out where the holes need to be for the machine to sit on top and be mounted. There's going to be 4 holes to drill, and once that's done, we'll be able to make that bracket that goes on the side here for the tyres to sit on to keep the tyre the respective height to the bead breaker. Easy, eh? Right, let's crack on. Right, that's all the welding done on the main frame now. It's pretty damn hot, so we better leave it to cool down a few minutes before we actually stick it under the Tyre machine, get it all lined up, and then mark out those 4 holes to be drilled. Once that's done, we can sort of, you know, get an idea as well and mark out where that little platform needs to be. Time for a coffee while this cools down, I think. Well, here goes. It's not easy on your own. Where's my tool girls when you need them? Oh, it's going to drop really, really quickly. There we go. Wasn't planned. Oh God, what a muppet. How's that looking? Oh, not far off. Right, I reckon that'll do. We'll get the tape measure out, we'll have a look. Right, we planned for 10mm, didn't we, either side, so. Oh man, that's pretty much bang on. Let's check the other side. Well, in fact, let's check the front as well, actually, just while we're on. You can't see from there, can you? There you go. Right, what are we on? Oh, we're about, it's near enough, it's about 9.5. Well, on this side. Yeah, fraction over 10, so we're good. That'll do me. And the back. Yeah, about 9.5. Maybe it wants to go just that way a bit. Oh, too far. God. How's that? 10. Perfect. And oh, bit of a wire in the way. This side. Oh, wait, there we are, look. 10. That'll do me. Perfect. Let's get those holes marked out. Now on this one I can't get a centre punch in, so I'm just going to have to sort of, oh, maybe I can. The plan was just to scribe a round circle, but the scribe is not long enough. Maybe I've got a different one. Hang on. You know what? We're going to leave that one, and we'll mark that one out on the bench using a ruler, getting the distance from the other side. Cunning, eh? These ones, lucky we can get in. I'm just going to put it sort of central and vertical. One. Two. Now this one, I don't have a lot of hammer throw room, so I'll use the side of the hammer. There we go. Perfect. Right, let's get this thing lifted off again. In fact, before we do that, we can mark out where that platform needs to be, can't we? Found an old wheel. Right, that would normally be around about there. Right, so I reckon we should make the rear of the platform in line with the back of this piece here. That'd be pretty tidy, wouldn't it? So we'll just mark that. Now the front of the platform is slightly different to what I thought it would be. Let's take a look. Now, looking down from the top, you can see when that tyre is lined up on the bead breaker, the centre point of the tyre is about here. Just marking that on the tyre for you. But really it needs support, I would suggest, out to about here, which is a bit further beyond the original platform. So that's probably about 60 millimeters. So we'll do that. We'll bring it out 60 from here, and it'll sit out here like this. Now we also need to know how wide this platform needs to be. Now obviously lots of different tyres are at different widths. I do car tyres, four-wheel drive tyres and motorcycle tyres as well. So that platform needs to stick out a reasonable amount really, because this is quite a narrow tyre. This is just one of those old trailer tyres that we did the axle on. So I would say we should bring it out from here. About 250 will be absolutely ideal. That's not really going to impede on the workshop too much. We'll just bring that, get rid of the tyre for a second. Bring that arm in. And where does that stick out to? About 220. Okay, if we do it 220, then it's not going to stick out any further than the arm when the arm's in the stored position. That'll work. Okay, 220 millimeters from there, and that is an additional 95. So 220 and 95. Better write that down. Okay, so here's some more space now because I've scribbled all over that bit. So we have the corner of the frame, just here, look, there you are, right, and we wanted to come forwards by about 60 millimeters, so we'll just mark that up, 60 millimeters, and then so we'll draw the frame in red, I think, it'll be easier, so not the frame, sorry, the additional support piece will stick out something like this. Now that point there is marked on the frame, so we don't have a measurement of this, but we do know that this dimension here is 315 millimeters. And that dimension we need to work out from that mark there, but it's whatever that is plus 60 mil. Cool, we've got a plan. Let's get that sorted. Right, I'll get all these pieces measured up, marked out, cut, and ready to install. Why don't you pop off and have a nice, it's too early for a cider. Go have a cup of tea, come back, all those bits will be ready. Mmm. Nom nom nom. Super. Oh man, cooking on gas, but I'm taking my time doing this because I want to make a good job of it. Now, this is the plate that's going to back, oh my word, I won't move it around because it will cause earthquakes, unfortunately. But this bracket here is going to go onto the side of the main frame. Now, I could weld it on, but I'm actually tempted just to bolt it on. Maybe 3 bolts along there, M10s would be fine. So I've got some holes to drill in this and obviously in the corresponding frame as well. Made some little brackets for the sides, so these all need to be welded up together to make the frame. So I'll drill the holes first because it'd be easier without it as being part of the subframe. And once they're done, we'll get it all squared up and migged up together, and then we're almost there. Be almost paint time. Well, final cleanup and paint time. Oh, that's not bloody good, is it? She's a bit blunt. Oh, I love it when a plan comes together. Pretty good. That'll do me, grommet. Oh, geez, that was a clean up job and a half, believe me. It's getting dark outside now. This is supposed to be finished by lunchtime and well, it's almost tea time. Anyway, right, all cleaned up, all desplattered and ready to paint. And my friends down at Forge gave me a few cans or a few rattle cans of spray paint. Now I've used most of them. This is all I've got left now, which is a black satin. So it's going to be in black satin by the looks of it. I really like these cans because A, it's really fast drying and there's quite a few ball bearings in there, so it mixes up pretty quick. Right, here goes. Right, let's hang that one up to dry for a bit. And then we can do the next one. I was never really a painter, to be fair. Right, well, we'll give that 10 or 15 minutes to dry off. I can flick it over and paint the rest of it. And probably give it another coat in the morning. And we've still got, don't forget, some kind of aluminium checker plate or wood if I haven't got the aluminium to go on that sort of extension where the tyres sit for the bead breaker. But other than that, she's all done. So, yet again, I'll see you in the morning and we'll get this job finished. It's taking quite a while, isn't it? My apologies. But hey, the powers of editing, this whole thing will take about, what, 45 minutes? Maybe even half an hour. Who knows? Okay, crew, I'll see you later on. Over and out. I'm back! And it's not tomorrow, it's still today and not yesterday. That paint dried so quickly, I was able to give it a second coat while I was packing up. Look, I'm almost done. Tyre machine's back in the corner. It's got the engine hoist to put away. All the roll cabs are where they live. Almost time for another beer. Right, let me show you just how well this came out. Just a little bit of a close-up before we call it a night. There you go, look. It's turned out pretty well, hasn't it? Bit of old scrap metal kicking around. And a can of spray paint. You just can't go wrong, really. Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to finish off packing up and definitely time for a shower. See you in a few seconds. Tomorrow morning after breakfast. Yeah, but for you, a few seconds. Hey, I'm back! It's day 3! Who would have thought a project as simple as this would take 3 days? Well, to be fair, it hasn't been 3 full days, just 3 bits of days. Anyway, it's come out really, really well. Very happy with the paint. Yeah, it's a good job. I like that. Nice satin finish. Now, I did have a little rake around last night. Oh shit, I wasn't sure, but I did find some checker plate. Now it's pretty thick stuff, a bit thicker than I would normally use, but it's all I've got and I can't go out and buy any more because, oh, dead fly, we're on lockdown at the moment. So this will work, so I'm just going to cut a piece out. I do have some more holes to drill and I've already painted it, but that's alright. I've got some lacquer just to, you know, stop it from rusting. So I'll get this cut and we'll get the checker plate put on, get the whole thing assembled and then mounted onto the Tyre machine. And then I can call it a day and go and edit this video for you. Right, let's get started. Now the checker plate is going to sit on top of, yes, sure, it'd look really nice if it was sat recessed into the frame, but unfortunately on this side I didn't grind the welds back. And I didn't really want to grind them back because that does weaken them quite a bit. So I left the welds proud and as a result the checker plate will fit on the top. I think that's okay because I don't really want a ridge because it's the tyre's going to keep potentially rolling back off there if it's in that particular position. I want it to sit nice and flat and in the position that I've set it in when I'm breaking the bead. So as regards width of checker plate, it doesn't need to go right to the end. So let's do 3, 4, 5 millimeters. So we need 3, 4, 5 by, so look, so 310. Yeah, I think 310 will be enough. That takes 5 mil off each one. Just a couple of mil off actually, so that's the go. So 313 in that dimension. Cool. And then what we'll do is we'll drill some holes around the outside, probably 2 on each of these bits of angle iron. And we'll use some nice countersunk cap heads, some stainless cap heads that I've got to clamp the whole thing down. So there'll be 8 fasteners holding it down, so there's no way it's going to move. Cool, right, time to cut some aluminium. Jeez, okay, I want to pick an area of this that hasn't got any holes in it, so over there is probably out. if you're on camera or not there actually. There you go. So we've got some holes in this now. What do we need? What's the shortest measurement? 313. Nope, that doesn't fit. So that whole area there is out, unfortunately. It's going to have to come out of here. 345. Yeah, that's doable. 315. Yeah, that's doable. Okay, right. So let's just tidy this up. Get rid of that. Poor old chicken plate. No idea where it came from. So I need to mark that as our master edge. God, I should have cleaned it first, shouldn't I really? I'll clean it afterwards. That'll do. Right. Okay. So we know that that angle there, we know that that's a right angle. We don't know about anything else. We don't know who cut this before. Might have been me, might not have been cut squarely. So we've got to start from that corner there for all our measurements. Right, I'll get that cut off. So chuffed that I found this bit of checker plate. I really thought I'd run out, to be honest. Right, longest length 345. Yep, just check that. 345. There we go. And of course we can come off this one now because we know that this will then be parallel to that original master line. Right. Don't let it move, Mr. Young. Jeez. There we go. And we'll just extend that out. There we go. Fantastic. And we can measure along this one again. And what was the other length? 313. Okay. Working around the tripod. Right, 313. There we go. Great stuff. So again, right angle off there. And as a double check, we should get 313 on this one as well. Near as damn it. That'll do me. We're going to be cutting the outside of the line anyway. That's great. Jeez, right, I think before we go any further, we should give this damn thing a clean. Right, here goes. There's all sorts of stuff on here. Paint, oil, grime. Just want to get the grime off, really. Fantastic. Right, that'll do. Right, so we said 2 bolts per side, a total of 8 bolts, but on the little bracket we made, I put some of these stylish holes down the side. And I don't want the bolt to be sticking down and be visible from the hole, so I need to measure, basically get a measurement to about the middle point of there and middle point of there, and that's going to dictate really where these bolts are going to be. So let's have a go, see what we're at. About the midpoint, 90 millimeters. Okay, sounds good. Is that going to work on this side as well? It is. Right, let's do all of them 90 millimeters from the corners in each direction. And the holes need to be about 20 millimeters in from the edge. Just measured that up as well. So this is going to cause loads of comments because people hate me doing this, but you know, it's so quick. Look at that, 20 mil, bang on. Okay, so I'm just going to clamp this down, I think, so it doesn't move around. Okay. Fantastic. So much easier. And super accurate. I do like that. Okay, so we said 90 millimeters, didn't we, from each side? That'll do. I hate those little tiny half millimeters. Okay, 90. And what we'll do is we'll drill a small pilot hole through the aluminium, depending on where you come from, and then we'll clamp the aluminium onto the bracket. Oh, that's terrible. That one, the longer one, right, onto the bracket, and then we'll just transpose those across onto the steel bracket, and then we can get them all drilled. It's been a job a long waited to get done as this one. Right, center punch. Jeez. Long one, wasn't it? That's it. Thanks for reminding me. It's not the sharpest drill bit in the world, is it? Let's get that bloody drill bit sharpened up. Should be a lot better than that. Should do the trick grommet. Right, see, it's already painted, but I've damaged the paint, so I'll stick a bit of cardboard down. And we'll do this one first. Dead fly. When you're drilling through a checker plate, it's always best, if you can, to drill through from the back, because if you drill through from the top, you'll find that these little checkers will basically move your drill bit around, so you're not drilling where you want to drill. So just a little tip there. Sometimes the neighbours really annoy me. Also, sometimes things are a lot easier by hand when I get them done in the pillar drill. There we go, all done. And the paint sort of survived pretty well. Should have done all of this before I sprayed it, I know. Now I've completely run out of the Forge satin black, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to use a bit of just some clear coat just to touch up these drill holes, because I don't want them rusting in the future, you know. Plus you can't see any of this when the checker plate's on, so it's all good. And we'll just spray the underside as well. There we go, pretty good. Excellent. Right, I reckon it's time for some lunch. When I come back, that'll be dry, and we can put the whole thing together and get it on the machine. Yes, be great. Right, said Fred. Hopefully I won't get in with the camera, I'm really bad at this bit of filming. We have the wheels. Now, these are all the nuts and bolts that I've got of M8 and the right length, and I'm really short of washers, so I can only put a washer on the outside. I think we'll need that washer on there. I'd rather have one on each side, but I haven't got enough. In fact, I probably won't have enough to do all of them, actually. Shit. Bloody lockdown, eh? Honestly. Yep. What's going on there? Oh, got a bit of splatter. I think the others are alright. Okay, here goes. Looking forward to seeing this all back together. Well, I say all back together. The first time it'll all be together. Which is great. Yeah, we're quite a few washers short. I might have to have a rummage around and see what I can find. Bugger. It's been a great little project there. Not particularly technical, but I wanted to make a really tight job of it. So hopefully your verdict will be good. You can let me know what you think. And tell me if you've made any kind of similar kind of trolleys to... Oh, what am I doing? Can't concentrate. Any similar kind of trolleys for moving stuff around or to make equipment mobile, and you know how you went about it. Whee! Well, that's one wheel. Only 3 more to go. Need more washers. Ha! We're in luck. Found some more washers. Bloody good. Right. These will do the trick. Just a random box that I'm going to move down from Silverdale. I still have so much stuff to go through, it's unreal. Oh, that hurt. Jeez. Won't be doing that again. God. Oh. Squashy finger time. Fantastic. Now the next job is to put the checker plate onto the subframe. Oh, right, little yellow mark just there. Look, that should all line up. Right, we need these now. Cool. Right, we can have washers on these, can't we? Done. Right, finished with all of those now. Okay, just got to fit this to the main frame. Bolty bolt bolts. It's a little tricky. Cool. I think. this way. Cool. Fantastic! We're nearly there. It's all assembled. Just got to take those little legs off that I put on for painting. That's, holy moly, that's those ones under there. Cool. So I'll whip these off and then we'll head over and put this on underneath the Tyre machine. Hope it fits. Jeez, I have not test fit these 4 holes lining up, so this is where you need a tool go. Right, let's get rid of the engine hoist. We're sort of in position now. There we go. Right, bolt number 1. Okay. I had originally intended to use M10s on this, but as it turns out, it's a little bit tight. One. 2. We're halfway. Right, 1 left. The hardest one. Oh, done. Oh, look at that! That was definitely worth doing. Well, there you go, people. A pretty mammoth project as regards filming and fabrication work. Although, in all honesty, a tiny amount of work compared to the amount of work that went into making all these steel beams for the roof, which I've just got finished, by the way. I know there's still some painting to do. But, hey, that project with the tyre fitting machine, was definitely well worth doing. It's gonna, just another thing in the workshop that's now mobile and not fixed. And I'm on a bit of a mission really to maximise the floor space. And one of the things that I'm planning to do, and it is only an idea, other than get a haircut, by the way, Jesus Christ, we're still on lockdown, all the barbers have gone home, is the racking, the Teng Tools racking that runs down that side of the workshop. I intend to cut everything in half and suspend the racking from the wall, and then have sufficient space underneath the racking down to the ground to put in things like roll cabs. I want to do another bench on wheels for like cut-off saws, that kind of thing that I can just slot underneath the racking when it's out of the way. But if I need to use that floor space, say for example I'm bringing a lot of vehicles into the workshop, I need to juggle around the floor space and keep it fluid, that I can pull the roll cabs out, pull the benches out, store them elsewhere in the workshop, and it'll give me more floor space. Things like working on boat trailers, big ROVs, that kind of stuff, making chassis. Sometimes, and even the steelwork, when I'm welding the steelwork up, sometimes I need, you know, a bigger workshop basically, but you've got to make do with what you've got, and this is what I've got. I think it's a fantastic, oh, phone, back in a second. That's my life. Constantly taking phone calls and answering emails at the moment while we're in lockdown. Now, where was I? Yes, well, it works. It does the job. I want to modify more of the workshop to give me more floor space. But in this instance, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I edited it down to something reasonable to watch, because I am well known for producing videos that are way too long. So I'm going to be absolutely ruthless when it comes to editing this video. However, you know, because it's a fabrication project, you do need to include each step of the project, but I'm not going to cover tightening every bolt and drilling every hole. I'm just going to try and give you an overview of what I did. Otherwise, it'll be a very long video. So, if you enjoyed the video, why not click on the subscribe button? You'll see a little gear icon turn up. Click on the gear icon, and our friends down at YouTube will send you an email once you subscribe and, you know, tick the box for notifications. They'll send you an email as and when I upload any new videos. You'll also find me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Feel free to communicate through any of those portals, and also via my personal email address, which is down there in the comments, as is a heap of other stuff. What else? There's also a Patreon page you can check out. And of course, if you want to donate and support the channel, if you found the video helpful and it's helped you to save a few dollars, why not flick a few this way, and it'll help to keep this channel going. You can do that through the PayPal icon on the front, and you'll get a mention in one of the next videos. Okay, crew, got to sign off, got a workshop to tidy up, got a huge video to go and edit. This one. See you later. Over and out. And you get the flip up again.
Oh.
Yes.